2023 has been a really weird year so far when it comes to cars. Ford has cancelled the Fiesta. The best-selling car in the world comes with farting indicators. And I'm about to go for a drive in a Volvo that costs less than a Vauxhall Corsa. Welcome to Electrifying.com. And to keep up with that weird and wonderful world of cars, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also press the little bell icon. Thank you. So here I am in the gorgeous mountains above Barcelona with a Volvo that does indeed cost less than a Vauxhall Corsa. So this is the EX30 and it's the smallest SUV Volvo's ever produced. And in keeping with the theme, it has a small-ish price tag to match. When the full range arrives, the entry-level car will start at around £31,000. Which isn't bad for a brand that, after all, is the cool Scandi alternative to premium brands like BMW or Audi. And it sounds even better when I point out that the current entry-level EX30 undercuts the Vauxhall Mokka by more than £5,000 and is just over £1,000 cheaper than a mid-range Vauxhall Corsa. That is absolutely nuts, isn't it? So the price is right, but have they got the rest of it right? Now, before we have a good look around inside, let me show you the boot. And actually, while I'm here, it's got a really nice angle, hasn't it? It looks really nice from the back. I do think this is a very good looking car. So the boot, well, it's compact, I think we would say. In terms of size, it's more than you'd get in a Vauxhall Mokka, about the same as a VW ID3, slightly less than a Kia Niro EV. And as you can see, it's got all our junk in it and luggage. We've literally come straight from the airport. Manos behind the camera doesn't really know about travelling lightly. Let's bring everything with him. Right, so come and have a look inside, because it has got quite a deep floor. And I think what's clever is that you can move this, so you can either have a higher raised floor, which of course really means this lip isn't, that much of a problem. You can get stuff into it easily, or you can put it down and you've got a lower load for when you've got higher things. Come look at this, it's quite fun. It has a little graphic up here, which is, will it fit? It's like a little game show, isn't it? Will it fit? Well, it will fit a pram. That's a bugaboo. It's going to fit luggage. A plant. I don't know. I have no idea what that is. I think it's an oxygen tank. And that, is it a Martian? I don't know.
It's a rucksack.
Is it? It's not. It's a car seat. Is it a car seat?
I think it's a...
It's a tent.
Yeah.
With, I don't know what that is. It looks a bit like a Martian. Then you've got a lamp, because why not? And of course, they're golf clubs. I like this boot a lot. I haven't done a will it fit a Ginny in it for a while. Should I do a will it fit a Ginny in it? This could go wrong, couldn't it? Will it fit a Ginny in it? Will it fit a Ginny in it? Oh, kind of fits a Ginny in it.
I want dinner now.
Oh no! Oh gosh, is that because I didn't get you coffee? I'm sorry. Ah! And round at the front is a frunk, and that's where my teeny weeny tiny bag is. So let's get on to driving. And I've been trying to think of one word to sum up the driving, and I've settled on agile. It's just got a really nice lightness to the car. It feels nippy, and I really like the suspension setup. It's pretty Goldilocks, not too hard, not too soft, but it really soaks up bumps and lumps in the road well, and it feels very refined and comfortable. But it's also got a bit of a sense of fun about it. You can throw it into a corner, and there's very little body roll on lovely twisty roads like this. For the most part, I think it feels very composed and balanced. The EX30 range will come with 3 different options. There's a single motor version with 270 brake horsepower and a 51 kilowatt-hour battery. That is the £33,795 version. There's a single motor extended range with 270 brake horsepower and a 69 kilowatt hour battery, and that's going to start at £38,500, whilst the twin motor performance plus with 424 brake horsepower and a 69 kilowatt hour battery again, which can get you incidentally from 0 to 60 in a supercar rivaling 3.6 seconds, will set you back just under 41,000. There is a more rugged EX30 cross country with that obligatory raised ride height and beefy body kit, which is due to join the range at some point, probably 2024, along with a core entry-level model which will cost a mini electric rivaling £30,000 to £31,000. So this is the single motor extended range plus, which is £38,545 in the UK. So it's got the larger 69 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for up to 275 miles of driving range. 0 to 60 takes just over 5 seconds. As with all Volvos, it has a top speed limited to 112 miles per hour. And it is really very nice to drive. I think the setup on this one is much more for comfort, for just enjoyable day-to-day driving, and that really suits me, and I think it suits how this car is going to be used for as well. So as with all Volvos, the EX30 comes with that Google Brain built into it, which is great because it works particularly well. And what I've found as I've been playing around with it is that the voice activation works and really understands what you want it to do. And I think given the lack of physical buttons in here, that's really important, because I don't want to be fiddling around in the screen, particularly not on twisty roads like this, which, as wonderful as they are, do need my attention. Now, all the car's functions are operated from this central screen, much in the way that you get in a Tesla. And actually, it's pretty intuitive to use. I've been pleasantly surprised. I normally do like physical buttons, but I haven't missed them as much as I thought I would do. This is a new generation of interface. This is the first car to get it, and it's very slick. There's no sort of lag there when I'm trying to change between screens. You've got key functions just down here at the bottom, the things that you'd use a lot, opening and closing the glove box. Go in here and you've got the main functions about the car. There is an awful lot to show you on this, and I'd be here, it'd be a very long video. But first impressions are that actually, yeah, it's not as irritating as some of these systems can be, probably because I'm a bit familiar with it from other Volvo cars, and it does seem to work quite well. Now, there are a couple of practical benefits to removing those physical buttons. It saves on costs, there are fewer parts to make, but it also has an environmental benefit, as by reducing the number of parts and materials used, it helps to reduce the emissions produced in the car's manufacturing. And the EX30 has the smallest CO2 footprint of any Volvo car to date. Now, the lack of clutter that you get, switches, buttons, trim in here, means that it just feels really bright and spacious and airy behind the wheel. So even though the footprint of the car is similar to a Nissan Juke or a Ford Puma, it actually feels, bigger than you'd expect, more spacious. The one area that I do think they could do a bit better with is one pedal driving, and that makes me a bit sad. When I got in and first started driving it, I thought, oh, I've got to switch one pedal driving on and see how that feels. And I went to switch the one pedal driving on, and the one pedal driving was already switched on. I'm just not getting that true sense of the one pedal. I'm using my foot brake so much more than I would want to do. And the other thing that I'd say about it is that whilst overall I think the driving experience is really refined, as I said, I was on the motorway coming here, and there's quite a bit of wind noise coming in over these lovely, beautifully shaped mirrors, which I really like. Those grumbles apart, yeah, this has actually really surprised me. I haven't been a massive fan of how Volvo's previous two electric cars have driven, but I'm really enjoying this. I think it strikes a really good balance between being comfortable but also having a bit of fun about it. It's a bit too early to report back on efficiency. We're going to be looking more at that when we have longer with the car. I've broken off from driving to admire this stunning scenery. It's so lovely here. But also to answer the most obvious question about this car, which is how does Volvo come up with a car that drives really well, looks great, has a really nicely designed interior and feels really well put together, yet costs less than an electric Vauxhall? So the answer lies in a few different things. Now, they've reduced the number of parts that it uses in the car, for example, which save on money. It's been built in China and is using the same hardware underneath that you'll find on a bunch of other cars, including the Smart #1 and the Zeekr X, both of which are cars that we like. But the key way that Volvo is making those entry-level models more affordable is by giving them different batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries. Now, these LFP batteries, as they're known, are pretty handy for several reasons. They can tolerate more frequent and faster charging. They don't use expensive and also contentious materials like nickel and manganese and cobalt. And crucially, they do cost less. However, there's a downside. They are heavier. They're actually less likely to be recycled because they don't use those expensive minerals. And they also don't perform that well in cold weather. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the batteries on those entry-level models perform in the depths of winter. Because unlike this car, the extended range and the twin motor performance versions, they don't come with a heat pump as standard, which of course can help to improve efficiency and help to maximise range. So here in the back, well, it's a nice place to be. Often I get into the back of cars that are really nice and plush in the front, and it's like, oh yeah, the money ran out and they kind of forgot about the back. And it definitely hasn't got that feel about the EX30. It's comfortable, the materials are all really nice. There's a real feeling of space in here because of clever tricks like taking the speakers out of the doors and having that fantastic soundbar there that runs right across the back of the dash. You've also got a couple of USB-C ports down there, so I like that a lot. And then this central console, which is fixed, but underneath you have a sliding area for cup holders that pops out. So you can extend it for 2 or just for 1. And look, they're good sized cup holders, yes. This is a decent sized bottle and it fits in there, and that is a real gripe of mine with cars. Also here in the central console are the buttons for the electric windows. You have to press a little button here in the middle for the rear windows to get those up and down. I think generally though in here it's just so nicely put together with interesting textures, interesting materials. I was expecting to come and see it today and just think, yeah, it maybe feels a little bit less expensive in here, feels a bit cheap, feels like the less affordable end of the range, and it doesn't feel like that. The seats are comfortable. Yes, there's some plastics down the bottom that feel a bit more cost conscious, but that doesn't bother me at all because they're actually really interesting and they've got a good texture. I think overall this interior is one of the nicest I've seen in a very long time, and as Manos keeps saying, it's giving me BMW i3 vibes, and I say that in a really good way. For a small car, there is a lot to unpick about the Volvo EX30. And my first impressions of the long-range single motor are that it's good, very good. But I will caveat that by saying we weren't quite as impressed with how the dual motor versions drive. But we will be reviewing that car separately. So if you aren't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and of course do switch your notifications on so you're the first to know when that video and all our others have landed. Manos, I'm sorry. I promise I'll get you coffee. And also a Coca-Cola. Manos. You don't want to get him angry.